Welcome to another episode of the Miami Real Estate Show. This week I have the pleasure to interview Julian Johnston. He's in the list of the top 20 residential brokers for 2015, number 6, with over $160 million sold last year. He has a wife, 3 kids, 1 on the way. He owns his own company, and he has sold more properties in Venetian Causeway than any other real estate agent for 2015. The most impressive thing is that he came to Miami for the first time just 9 years ago. The insights he's about to share in today's episode are just amazing. How an agent that came from another country less than 10 years ago has become one of the top 10 residential real estate agents in South Florida and has been able to sell over $100 million consistently. You're about to find out. So without further ado, I leave you with the top producer and owner of Calibre International Realty, Julian Johnston.
This week's featured property is one of South Beach's most stunning homes of 2016. Casa Clara, located at 212 West Delito Drive in Miami Beach. An ode to South Beach's lifestyle, combining Biscayne Bay's beautiful views with a new architecturally significant home of tropical modern design. Loaded with dramatic flair and luxurious finishes, it provides a lifetime of comfort and joy with a breathtaking view of sunrise, sunset, and evening. Exquisitely designed, detailed, and appointed, Casa Clara promotes a unique lifestyle. For more information, contact Julian Johnston at 786-408-0314. This episode of the Miami Real Estate Show is brought to you by Pearl Title and Escrow Services Corp., an integrated solution for all your real estate closing needs. Supported by a skilled team of professionals and state-of-the-art technology, Pearl Title will satisfy your most demanding deadlines and meet your loftiest expectations. Pearl Title and Escrow Services, delivering above and beyond service with every commercial and residential real estate closing in Florida.
Welcome to another episode of the Miami Real Estate Show. Today I have the true pleasure and honor to be in this beautiful Venetian Island house with top producer Julian Johnston. Last year, Julian, over $100 million sold in Miami Beach. Closed sales, an amazing top producer in Miami, one of the top agents. Julian, a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
So let's get started. Tell me, what's your background? How long have you been in the business, and why real estate?
So I'm from Australia, from South Australia. And when I finished school, I went into business in college, and I finished a degree in business, and I also started doing some marketing. At the time, I went to work for a bank, and then I was doing a little bit of real estate for a friend of mine. And before I started to think about getting married and settling down, I thought I'll spend 6 months overseas, so I abruptly started traveling through Europe. Okay. And then when winter came, it was way too cold, and people had been telling me about Miami was nice and warm and year-round weather, so I came to Miami and fell in love. I fell in love with the weather, the people, the restaurants, the beach, and then real estate.
Now, why real estate?
I think because I've always had a background in sales. Through high school and in college, I worked in sales, both in retail, just working with people in general. Okay. And I like the economic side and the financial side of it, but I like working with people, the negotiation and finding out what they like and ultimately making people happy.
Definitely. Now, you had many houses in Miami Beach sold last year, the previous years. Tell me a little bit about this house before we get into the interview. Where are we? What's the name of this island? How big is this house? What's the price?
Okay. So in short, because there's a lot to say about
I love
house,
to say, I know.
I just gave you a tour.
Yeah.
We're at 212 West Delito Drive. The name
212 West Delito Drive.
The name of the house is Casa Clara.
Okay.
The concept of the home was more about lifestyle, because anyone can build a home and put in some fancy finishes, but the man behind the scenes really wanted to create a lifestyle. So when you come in the home, even from it's not a garage, it's a car suite. It's all the mechanics are hidden. So when you drive in, you feel like you're instantly at home and calm. So when you walk into the property, it's very tranquil and has a lot of indoor, outdoor living areas. So you just feel at peace when you're at home. The property is around 11,500.
It's a huge property, especially for being on the water. 11,000 square feet under AC.
Correct. That is not typical for Venetians, because many Venetian lots are 10,000 or 11,000 square feet. The average home being 5,000 or 6,000 square feet. But this is a double lot. And the Venetians have become far more popular in the last few years, more than Star Island or North Bay Road or Indian Creek, because of the distance traveled. You've got Purdy Avenue, Sunset, all the retail and restaurants and grocery stores, walking distance.
Right.
So a lot of the...
You're right on the water here. You have downtown Miami.
Close to Open Bay. Right. You're so close to the Design District and Wynwood, and close to Miami Airport, that you're really in the center of everything. It's the best location. Right. So there's a demand for larger homes. And it's not just this home, there's 5 or 6 under construction that are on double lots that are priced in the $25 to $35 million range.
So what's the price of this house?
The asking price right now is $36 million.
$36 million.
It's on. It's a double lot, 21,000 square feet.
Beautiful.
The home, just to touch on some of the finishes, is Boffy cabinetry in the kitchens and bathrooms. The recessed lighting is Creon. The lighting fixtures and the furniture is by Henge, which is all Italian.
Okay. So now, and you not only have this house, you have many houses in the multi-million-dollar prices that not only have you have sold or you have listed. So you started back in 2001. Tell me a little bit about, do you have any mentors when you got started in this business, and what did you learn from that person in order to get to where you are today in 2016?
Yes, well in 2001 I worked with Fortune International, which was a great start. It's a great company.
Yeah, great company.
I like the culture. It was very Latin, which was different for me.
Completely different.
Spanish. But I've sold houses to people from Madrid and from Russia. Cool. I use interpreters sometimes. Yeah. But there were a couple of top producers in the office on 41st, and I was just eager to learn, and I always work hard. So just long hours and just spending time just learning from people and following instructions and really getting out there and getting to meet people and finding out how the industry works. And then I think more importantly, finding your own way to do things. Like people always ask me, what's the secret to your success?
Okay, so what is it?
Apart from hard work, I think you have to be true to your own nature. Like if you like commercial or you like residential or you like office condos, I think you have to sell what you're familiar, what you like selling, what you're into. So I've always loved waterfront homes, coming from Australia, all the major cities in Australia on the water. So I love being close to the water. And then I've always had a background also in construction, and so I get involved sometimes in helping clients find a contractor, find an architect, and then when they get through the process, then helping them sell the house.
You said something very important right now, and you were saying that to me before off cameras, before the interview. You said, being able to focus and narrow your attention to a specific part of the market. So you were doing before, back in 2001, you were doing residential and a little bit of commercial, is that right?
Correct.
Right.
So my college degree had a background in highest and best use analysis and commercial, analyzing cash flows and multifamilies. So back in 2001 when I started, I would sell multifamilies or strip centers or Blockbuster. I sold the Plymouth Hotel in Miami Beach for $18.5 million, but it's really not my area of expertise because you can't be a jack of all trades. You can't be an expert in everything.
Very good point. Very good point.
Rather than focus in like trying to learn the price per square foot for a warehouse in Wynwood, in 2005, 2007, 2008,
when the market went down.
When the market went down, I really started to focus just on residential, and then I started to focus further by doing only in Miami Beach and not taking listings in South Miami or Golden Beach or Fort Lauderdale.
Very good point. Very good point.
And then within the market itself, I started to focus more so on waterfront homes and South of Fifth condos, and even staying away from Bal Harbour and just really focusing on residential in a really defined area so you become an expert and that you learn every single sale. and what was behind that sale, what that view was, what the ceiling height was, what the finishes were, so you can speak with all expertise when you're talking to a buyer.
You become an asset to your client.
Correct.
Right.
Correct, because I mean it's very difficult to know. There were 28 homes sold on Venetian Islands last year. You have to know every single sale, every single view,
every single sale,
how many feet on the water, what was the size of the house, when was the kitchen last renovated, because the photos always don't tell the story. So you've got to visit every single home.
We say in coaching, we have a saying that says, by focusing in one area, you will create opportunities in many other areas. And that's exactly what you've done. Not only you went from commercial and residential to only residential, but from residential to specific area, which is Miami Beach, and within Miami Beach is the Venetian Islands, and with the Venetian Islands, the waterfront properties. I mean, it's just, you really, really narrow your focus, and that I assume that's one of the parts of that created this huge success for you. I mean, over $100 million sold last year just in this area. It's just a tremendous success.
Yeah, I mean, the average sale price was about $5 million, so there's a lot of transactions.
Exactly,
in there.
right.
And it did create other avenues because I really focused on waterfront homes in the Venetian Islands, and then when I became an expert in that, there's about 350 homes on in the Venetian Islands. Then I slightly moved out my focus around Sunset Islands and Hibiscus Palm and North Bay Road.
Which is right here.
Yeah, they're literally minutes away from each other. And then as buyers come into town, they want certain things. They want a gated island or police guard, so they want hibiscus and palm, or they're not concerned about the views, but they want to be on the water and walking distance to grocery, then they want to be on Sunset Islands. And you really open up different areas to buyers. And with the sellers, you can talk about, with expertise, about what's sold in what area, so you help them to identify the value of their home. And then it opened up Waterfront Rentals, which I hadn't really done a lot of.
Very interesting, okay.
And not a lot of people do, because it's a small niche in the business, but I was able to handle enough homes and manage those homes for the owners that I actually grew into a separate part of my business and built a separate website for, and I work with, I have an assistant or partner that works exclusively on those homes, and was able to dedicate her time to doing that job and do it better than anyone else. And now I'm actually the #1 waterfront home rental agent in the whole of Miami Beach as well.
Very interesting, very interesting. So not only you have the sales, you also have the rentals. And you were talking to me off camera. What do you do when you get a commercial deal? Usually, what do? You do it yourself? No, of course. What do you do with that?
I mean, I honestly refer out commercial deals. I explain right away, because a lot of my clients trust me, and they're like, "Oh, I bought a house from you last year. Now I'm looking to get an office, or I want a retail space." I have a client right now that's going to put in a jiu-jitsu studio and wants 5,000 square feet.
That's not your market.
I mean, it's not my market. It would be a really good commission, but I told him, listen, I don't know the price per square foot in these locations or what traded. And commercial as well is a little more difficult because it's not as transparent as the residential market, which we record all the transactions. Commercial is very much a niche, so I wasn't able to advise him as well as someone else could, so I actually gave him to a good friend of mine who's a very good commercial agent in Wynwood, or I would if he wanted to be on the beach. I know a very good commercial agent on the beach, so I'm trying to steer them to the right person as well.
And with the rental business now, you're still complementing your regular real estate business, because it's within the area. You still need to know this price per square foot. You still need to know the houses, the area, etc.
Yeah, and what they rent for, and what clients are looking to rent, because a lot of my clients, obviously Florida's like 24% second homes. I would hesitate to assume that Miami Beach is a little higher, around 30-35%. So a lot of my clients will buy a waterfront home, and then they'll only be here 4 or 5 months of the year, so then they'll rent it for 6 or 7 months.
Very good point.
So often I'll do a summer rental for like 6 months, and then they can offset some of the cost.
Very good, very good. So tell me about a daily habit that has gotten you to where you are today.
So I usually start my morning around 8 o'clock. I have coffee and I read the paper and look at current news events and see what's going on, because I like to stay current with current events, because Miami especially in the last 10 years, has become very much an international city. It was always popular with Europeans and Italians and French, but more so now we get a lot of news, and we're influenced more by world economies. So oil prices, the price of the euro, all these things affect us. So I try and stay current with events, and then try and make phone calls in the mornings before I get too busy, and then during the day, I like to be very hands-on with my clients. So I do a lot of the showings myself, because I think if you get interest from a buyer and you're trying to advise the seller on what's going to happen, you have to have met that buyer and understand what motivates them, because I think it helps you negotiate a deal. And then usually after dinner...
Wait a minute, because that's important. And then we'll go to what you do after dinner, which is extremely important too. We were talking about that off camera. So when you go, you like to show the properties you have listed, not only to be present, but also you want to get the feeling of what that client motivation is, so you can put in the client's buyer's perspective. Is that right?
Correct.
So you want,
I mean, from a seller standpoint, if you're representing the seller, you're doing your best service is to have met the buyer and then explain to them what makes them tick, what they're looking for, what motivates them, and then how it'll help you negotiate a price that, to get the highest price. From a buyer's perspective, you're showing them around. You don't want to refer them out to someone else, because you want to take good care of the client, show them around. I think that's part of the focus as well, because I think that I could become a much bigger agent and take on 60 or 70 listings. Like there are agents that have far bigger teams, but I think you lose contact with both the clients. I think the level of service, you can't maintain it, because no one's going to do as good a job as you will. And I think you lose touch with the properties. Like, it's very hard to, even for 20 properties, you start to remember what the waterfront is, what the ceiling height. So you want to speak.
The name of the architect, the type of
you want
appliances.
It to be a conversation when you come into the property. You don't want to pick up a sheet every time and have to read off to the client.
Good point. Very good point.
I think that really removes you from the client. You want to be just focused in one area and focused on within 15, 20 listings and stay pretty much within that. And then I think you become a better agent.
Okay. So in the mornings, you said, before off camera, you said, when I asked you, do you read? And you said, yes, a lot. So you read the papers in the mornings. In the afternoons, you want to be around in the houses you have listed, talking to buyers, to other agents. You mentioned also you have very good relationships with the top producers in the area too, which we're going to talk about that. So, and I interrupted you. So at night, what do? You have a wife, you have 3 kids.
Yes.
One on the way. Congratulations again. That's very nice, very nice. So you have your hands full.
Yes.
All right. So what do you do at night?
I find that your day is very congested. You have your routine, which
like
you try and stick to. I think to get ahead, you really have to have 2 or 3 hours where you're not interrupted. And the only way to find that, you don't really get it on the weekend, because you're working on the weekends with showings as well, but 2 or 3 nights during the week, I'll probably sit down at like 8:30, 9 o'clock, and I'll work till 12 o'clock at night. And during that time, you're able to think about your day and maybe follow up on some leads that you might miss the next day.
Right.
So that's also good. You're also able to stay in touch with some people, but more so able to plan for the next week or so.
Planning, that's key.
Setting up meetings with people that you had been talking about working on ventures together, or a new website, and then really going back and doing the research on what you want, and researching other websites and finding out what you want it to be, and then making an action plan, and then setting up meetings a few days in advance, because we all work on a 2-3 days. I know what I'm doing the next 2 or 3 days. I'm booked up. A week from now, I don't have anything booked. So it's good to set meetings ahead of time to put it into your life, that you'll go and meet that website company and set up a new website, or go and meet that client and go and see the house you just built that you haven't had time to see.
So it's so critical what you just said, which is being able to plan not only your day, but your week ahead. You said in the mornings, I make sure, and when I ask you, do you read? And you said, yes, and I read a lot. You read a lot to stay informed and truly be that expert, that asset to your clients. In the afternoons, you are with buyers, you're showing your listings, you're interacting with other real estate agents. And at nighttime, definitely, you invest 2 or 3 hours a night after you spend time with your wife, with your 3 kids. So definitely you're a busy person, but you have the ability to plan not only your day, but your week ahead. So any other tool that you use to organize yourself and being able to accommodate not only your business life, but also your family life?
I mean, part of that planning is really, everyone's excuse is they're really too busy, I'm too busy. So, we're talking off camera before. I mean, that 2 or 3 hours at night is not just projects like it's thinking about where my business is going, how it's going, but how can I augment it, or how can I add something to it, or what's an area I want to improve, or even like holidays. Like, if I was thinking about, like, I went skiing with my brother this year for 4 days, but if I was thinking about going skiing in January, February, and tried to go a week away, I would always say I'm just too busy. So
everybody's busy, right?
So in September or months before, I would just book out 4 days in my calendar, book the flights, and it becomes part of your life, and then you look forward to it.
That's a very good point. You look forward to it because you have it planned, you work harder, you are motivated to have that break. And that's so important. That planning, at the end of the day, the only thing every single person in this earth, in this planet, has in common is that we all have, whether we're married, single, with kids or not, it's that we all have 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 4 weeks a month. It's what we do with that time, and being able to step back and do exactly what you do in the mornings and at night. It's to step back and plan your day and your week ahead. Very, very, very good. You also mentioned something that is very important to me, which is you are very straight and honest with your clients. But not honesty in terms of being honest and not lying. It's honest with the price, with the actual value of the house. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
I mean, I think that comes with expertise, just being very straight with them.
Right, more than honest, it's honest,
yeah,
but it's straight. It's straight,
and,
right? Tell me the truth.
And informative, like,
right.
If a sale occurred or they're asking about a house and they're like, what is the value of that house?
Right.
I think you have to really talk about, this house sold down the street and I was inside it and I saw this house, and really telling them like why it sold for this price. If it was a little bit lower, it's because it faces north and it's a dark view at night, or it faces south and has more lights and it's more attractive at night, or the ceilings were very low, so like I think the buyer that bought the house is going to knock it down. It was really a land value sale. I think that just being very straight, that if they're looking for a certain type of property or a certain type of price, I'd say you're not going to find that right now, or you're going to find that, but I think we need to look in a slightly different area. I mean, you want to save them as much time as possible and be as informative as possible.
Now, not only being informative, being straight, you also, as a real estate agent, have done something that most people have not been able to do, which is having your own company, which is Calibre Realty, all right? You have your team. So tell me a little bit about how that has worked for you and how you have been able to become one of the top producers in Miami with a huge name on the back. Right.
So I'm a business major, so like part of it, being a real estate agent, is also understanding business models. So I understand like the Keller Williams business model. It's the fastest growing real estate company in the country for 9 years running.
Good.
Why?
Right.
And I would look at their business model and understand it. Or Beachfront Realty is the biggest agency on the beach. Why? What was, they were the first company to go offer 90-10 splits. They have over 1,000 agents. So I look into different business models, and I think also looking at the way real estate changed, because in 2000, 2001, the internet really disintermediated brokerage companies. And Miami has one of the most transparent real estate markets in the country. I think that there's no real actual MLS in New York, so a couple of Corcoran, Douglas Elliman, Brown House Stevens, their websites still have some worth. So you don't see a lot of brokers go out by themselves.
Right.
You'll see new companies starting like Town, but you'll understand
that's very interesting.
There are
what
big
you're saying.
teams that are breaking off. But in Miami Beach, agents are required to do their own direct mails, have their own website, do their own e-flyers. I mean, a lot of the times, if I needed a graphic designer, I didn't want to share it with the company. I wanted he or she to work for me full time.
Right.
So I understood that they do, as you become a more experienced agent, they do less for you. You become just as experienced or more experienced than the broker that's at the company.
Right.
So I worked for Fortune for International, which was a great company for 7 years, and with Sotheby's at the time. And then when the market crashed in 2008, a lot of the big companies closed their offices on the beach. There weren't any of the national companies, like Douglas Elliman wasn't here.
Right.
And so I had my license with a friend of mine, just a small shop for a couple of years, and then I really thought about branding. I really admire the branding of Sotheby's. I think it's a great brand, very consistent.
Yes, it is, definitely.
So I modeled it slightly on that, very clean, a rich navy blue color, which is money, success, and conservatism, coming from a marketing background. So I started Calibre Realty, And I think the business model where you grow a company and get as many agents to work for you as possible, 80 or 100 agents, you then become a manager, which was not my business model.
Right, not what you're looking for. Right.
I have a very small boutique company whereby top producers such as Majestic, had top producer was Matt Crane, came to work with me.
Right.
Because I offer them a high split because I don't think the companies do as much for them anymore. Yet I offer camaraderie, knowledge, intelligence. We get to work on listings together. We go to listing presentations together, but sharing off-market knowledge is very powerful.
Very good point.
I think a lot of agents, get very busy, and it's good to sit down with top producers as well that share the same problems that you have.
The same problems. There you go. That's the key point. That's
time management.
Right.
Are they having the same problems as sellers or listing prices? And people telling you, yeah, it's okay. I'm having the same problems, and everyone is just wants to get ahead.
Very, very good point. So, congratulations on Calibre. I wish the biggest success, continued success with the company. We have 30 seconds to go. 2 advices, one for a new agent and another one for an experienced agent. In 30 seconds, what would you say?
A new agent, easy. Go and work for a team or a top producer for a year or 2 and really learn the business and learn how to structure deals, because you've got to be creative and learn how to look after clients, because they'll always come back to you.
Right.
This is a relationship business. You want to have clients for 10, 20 years.
Okay.
And top producers, I think the bigger you get, the more that gets thrown at you, the more opportunities. I think you just need to stay focused. Stay focused in your market and residential, whatever it is you are doing, and try to find balance. Right. Because I think we get too busy. Right. And I think it's important that the market will ebb and flow.
Very good point.
Not as busy, play golf, spend time with your family.
Julian, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me in this beautiful Venetian island house. And until next week, make it a very, very productive day. Thank you very much, Julian.
Thank you very much.